Hello, BookTube. I have a small mail haul for you here. Probably the last mail haul of the week. And what a week it's been. Trying to negotiate and coerce cooperation out of this old house. I'd no sooner found the one willing wall socket left in the place than the sink in the bathroom started blocking up. It's refusing to swallow any water or anything else that goes down into it. So an electrician and a plumber, is that what I need? First thing I need is someone who's got any kind of real world knowledge to look at the thing. All of my boys are enduring the just staggering hangovers from drinking all night long last night, and they can't be bothered. They've got to build their strength so they can drink all night tonight. And my surly houseboy is not here at the moment, so, and I, of course, if I had any useful skills, would I be a book critic? I don't have any idea what to do or even what to look at. So it's going to have to wait, but we've got mail. And this could be the last mail haul of the week. I'm giving up on being sure about such things. It's just a few packages, and the first one is strange. I don't think it came from a publisher. I think it came from an author, an indie author, which would be great. Those are a lot of fun. I urge you, if you happen to be an indie author watching this video, feel free to send me your book. Even if I don't review it, you already know what you're going to get, right? From watching this channel, you're going to get me holding up your book, what's called showcasing, telling people what it is, alerting them to its presence, and also describing it, which is no small thing. So, for the cost of postage. So let's see what we have here. What do we have here? Oh, what on earth is this? Oh, this isn't from an indie author at all. This is a gift from one of you. Oh, how incredible. Oh, man. Okay, well, let me show these to you. The first one is Animals in the First World War. A skinny little thing all about... oh, God. Look at the first one I opened to. Can you believe it? No doubt a German. So this is just a very quick look at the animals of the First World War. Look at that picture. Look at them all. They've all got their own animals. I know a little bit about this subject. I've read bigger books, much more exhaustive treatments, especially of dogs in the First World War. But this is lavish with pictures. Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, great. And then the second one is these little black classics from Penguin Classics. This one is The Great Fire of London, a tiny sliver of the Diary of Samuel Pepys. Isn't that wonderful? And I have the big box of the little black classics, which amazingly enough was also a gift from one of you. I'm making out like a bandit on this channel. I tell you, you people just mystify me. You just mystify me. You're willing to let my actual Patreon just sit there gathering cobwebs, but you're endlessly generous everywhere else. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I'm very appreciative, but I think you're all strange. But I have that big box that I think has all these, so it probably has this one in it as well. But, you don't like to, with a big box like that, you don't like to pull something, I don't like to pull something out and then walk around with it because I'm worried that I will lose it or forget about it, and then, 10 years later, I'll be doing a video for you, and I'll look at that big box and say, oh my God, there's one missing. I wonder which one it is. Oh, I wonder where it is. Oh, I gotta find it. So if I have a double that I will just put this in my bag. Pepys takes precedence even over Regency romances, and his account of the Great Fire is amazing. Just amazing. Birds. Mother birds in their nests, where self-preservation instinct tells them to fly away, but they're chirping chicks who can't fly yet tell them to stay, so they're circling back and coming back to the nest. There's nothing they can do. Pepys notices things. Well, fantastic. Okay, great. So we start off the last mail haul of the week with presents, which is wonderful. That's fantastic. Now we'll move on to the normal riffraff. Now we move on to publishers. None of these packages are very big, and I gotta confess, none of them is really setting off my spider sense. So we'll see. Oh God, help us! You've got to be kidding me. Okay, this comes out in February. Oh my God. All right. This is An old acquaintance of mine, kind of amazing. This is from Yale University Press. This comes out in the new year, and this is titled "That One Should Disdain Hardships: The Teachings of a Roman Stoic" by Musonius Rufus. A tiny little thing. The Stoic philosopher Musonius Rufus was one of the most influential teachers of his era, and his message still resonates with startling clarity today. Alongside Stoics like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, he emphasized ethics in action displayed in all aspects of life. Merely learning philosophical doctrine and listening to lectures, they believed, will not do any good unless one manages to interiorize the teachings and apply them to daily life. And this is a translation by Cora Lutz with an introduction by Gretchen Radams-Schills. And this will be a new edition of Musonius Rufus. Good Lord. And then we have an author bio for Musonius Rufus. He was a Roman Stoic philosopher from the 1st century CE. That's the 1st century AD, Anno Domini, after the birth of Jesus Christ. CE, Christian era. The Christian era started that way. So you're not saying... Anyway. That's all we know about him. Then we go straight on to the translators. Cora Lutz was a translator whose 1947 translation of Musonius are considered by many to be the best versions available in English. Okay, so it's an older translation with a new introduction by Gretchen Radams-Schills, who's a professor in the program of liberal studies at the University of Notre Dame and holds concurrent appointments in classics, philosophy, and theology. Wow. Okay, well, this comes out in late February. This is the 4th or 5th book on Stoicism to come out in the last few years, because despite all appearances to the contrary, this is in fact a Trump book. I'll read it, I'll gobble it up nonetheless, but it's important to keep these things in context. There was not a steady stream of books coming out during the 8 years when we had a normal, intelligent, adult Nobel laureate as president. There wasn't a stream of books coming out then saying, look, this is how you make the best of an imperfect world. Look, this is how you live day to day when everything sucks. Look, this is how you make the best of an ethical life when all of the public examples of ethics and leadership have gone to hell. This is how you do that. There were no books like that for those 8 years. Now there's a mini industry of them. Because we have a president of the United States who calls his enemies by schoolyard nicknames, and who not only does that, but coerces other people, other grown members of Congress, to do the same thing. Grown members of Congress. So that all I want to do, and it'll never happen, but I want some reporter at some press gaggle to waste their one question to one of those congressmen by saying, Congressman so-and-so, did you just call a member of your own, a colleague from Congress by a schoolyard nickname? Just to get them to say, yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Anyway, you didn't come here to hear me rant. So let's just move on. Let's move on to the next one. Let's see. Oh, great. All right. This next one is the latest in the Yale Jewish Lives series. A series that has yielded a lot of good books. That is very good. Fantastic. So what have we got here? This one is Theodor Herzl, The Charismatic Leader by Derek Penzlar. I wonder if all these books will be from Yale, aside from the gifts. I guess the books from Yale are gifts as well. I shouldn't be a snot about it now, should I? I have written about some of these Yale classics. Some of them are, in any series like this, we've got multiple authors. Some are going to be better than others. Well, let's see here. Who have we got here? So this comes out in February. Okay. And Theodor Herzl lived from 1860 to 1904. And we're told that his life was as puzzling as it was brief. He was a man of contradictions, a cosmopolitan and assimilated European Jew who became the leader of the Zionist movement, an artist and a statesman, a rationalist and an aesthete, a stern moralist, yet possessed of deep and at times dark passions. And in this book, the historian Derek Penzlar helps us to understand why tens of thousands of Jews, many of them from more traditional, observant backgrounds, embraced Herzl as their leader. Okay, fantastic. So who is Derek Jonathan Penzlar when he's at home? He's the William Lee Frost Professor of Jewish History at Harvard University. All right, well, there you go. So he is credentialed. Okay, so this comes out in February. and we will see. We'll see. I'm happy to review another one, but my aim, my sort of restless hunger, always with Open Letters Review. That's what I'm talking about for those of you who are new. I run a literary journal, an online literary journal. It's free. You can just go and read it. Called Open Letters Review, where we review new books all the time. I've naturally, now that the year is closing down, I've been looking at our track record. It's a lot of reviews, and I'm proud of a lot of them, and I do a huge amount of reviewing there. Not so much in the last 2 months of the year, as I'm scrambling just to get my life battened down before the new year, but most of the time, yes. And my goal always there is to take something like this, or even Musonius Rufus, and find other reviewers. It's an opportunity for somebody to break into professional book reviewing. It's not paid, of course. It's a free online journal, so we don't pay. But you're in very good company, and we spread the word far and wide. Open Letters is well known in the literary community, so if you have a mind to review such things, feel free. David Murphy did, a fellow booktuber who hardly ever makes booktube videos. That seems to be the way of it. When was the last time we heard from Wilson Shugart? It's about 10 years ago, I think, when he had long black hair. David Murphy did a very good review for the Karl Marx entry in the Jewish Live series. But to put it mildly, I think David was more interested in the Karl Marx part of the Karl Marx biography than he was in the Jewish part of the. So, for instance, if perhaps Rachel Morrow wanted to start book reviewing, it's long since overdue. She is steeped in Jewish history and Jewish literature. It'd be wonderful to do. She's also a writer, published writer, an award-winning writer. I'll harp on her in private. Then we have the last one. Wouldn't be surprised if this is also from maybe somebody just clearing off their desk. Who knows what the end of the year is going to be like for this sort of thing, as the end of the year is just a mess. It's just an absolute mess. People clear off their desks. They clear out their cubicles in the run-up to Thanksgiving, because they know that when they get back, they're going to have meetings to go to, year-end appraisals to go to, galas and parties and launches to go to. For the tiny sliver of time between when you get back from Thanksgiving, which is technically a Monday, but most people don't start drifting back to actual nose-to-the-grindstone work until Wednesday. That Wednesday is barely any time until you are gone, not only for Christmas, but for New Year's as well. So the publishing industry just sort of stutters almost to a halt. And so does the reviewing industry in large part. Things start to get cleared out of the cobwebs or put on autopilot. So who knows? Who knows what that will be like. So what have we got here? Once again, the book has some schmutz on it. Oh my, okay. All right. Okay, this comes out in March. So we have indeed had a mail haul that is not in this year. Except for the gifts. The gifts I'm going to read right now as soon as I finish this video. So this comes out in March, and it is a new Gothic thriller. Those of you who love your Gothic thrillers, rich in atmosphere, creaking floorboards, mysterious relatives, that sort of thing, this is right up your alley. This is by Rebecca James, and it's called The Woman in the Mirror. We are just by a whisker saved. Steve is just by a whisker saved to read this book because it's not called The Girl in the Mirror. So what have we got here? The hallmark of an excellent Gothic thriller is often the grand estate where characters converge, with its overgrown gardens and enormity of the dark house that rises like a sentinel out of the mist. And there's one light way up at the top there. In this book, Winterbourne Hall is exactly this, an unnerving cliffside manor in rural England that disguises violent, angry secrets. For fans of Victoria Holt, are there fans of Victoria Holt? That would be wonderful to know. And Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House, The Woman in the Mirror tells the story of two outsiders cursed by a malevolent house and a family with a sinister past. The year is 1947, and Alice Miller answers a call for a governess at the back of a country paper. There is little information to glean on her prospective employer, the widowed Captain Jonathan de Grey, who requires a caregiver for his young twins in the foggy hills of Cornwall. Driven listless by a life of London routine, Alice accepts the offering while knowing little else, including the fates of the children's last governess and their late mother. Oh, come on. No matter how disappointing London is for you, would you answer an ad like that? Come on. I mean, if she's running from murderers, I might understand it, but London has bookshops. Even in 1947, London has bookshops, for Pete's sakes. Anyway, wouldn't have a book otherwise. The appointment seemed to hinge on her answer to a single question. Are you used to isolation, Miss Miller? In the present day, Rachel Wright is a burgeoning young gallerist careening into success. People can't burgeon, and I have no idea what a gallerist is. She has a dedicated assistant, engaged investors, and the devastatingly handsome Aaron Gruel, who doesn't overstay his welcome. Adopted at a young age and orphaned in her late teens, all that's missing from Rachel's life is family. How much do you want to make a bet that the de Greys are her family? Or any knowledge of who she is. That is, until she receives a letter that gives her a chance at it all. It is my duty to inform you, the letter says, that being Miss de Grey's next of kin, the park and all its lands and contents now fall directly into your possession. Winterbourne Hall is her inheritance, and risking her fledgling business, Rachel leaves New York behind. Okay, so the narrative shuttles between the two of them, between Alice and Rebecca. Let's see. So who is Rebecca James? Between Alice and Rachel. Rebecca James worked in publishing for several years before leaving to write full time, and is now the author of 8 previous novels written under a pseudonym. She lives in Bristol with her husband and 2 daughters. And her delicious novel with moving portraits, creepy children, is there any other kind? And Generation of Secrets will be the perfect thriller for the transition from winter to early spring. I'd be willing to bet that Rebecca James is the pen name. But one way or another, that sounds fantastic. I mean, I am not the biggest fan of Gothics. I admit that. Plenty of people love them a lot more than I do. But nevertheless, that sounds fantastic. So I'm not the world's biggest fan of Gothics, and I'm also not the world's biggest fan of novels that shuttle between 2 time zones, between 2 time periods like that. Can occasionally be done really, really well, but it can often trip an author up. Although if this author has written 8 other books, I don't think that's going to happen. So there you go. That is our last mail haul of the week. We have The Woman in the Mirror. These are all for 2020. We have Theodor Herzl, latest in the Yale Jewish Live series. We have That One Should Disdain Hardships, Musonius Rufus's advice from the Roman Empire on how to deal with living under Trump. And then The Great Fire of London, the little black classic of Samuel Pepys, and Animals in the First World War, a lovely, heavily illustrated volume from a friend. So I started off the mail haul with a gift. That is wonderful. So I'm going to wrap this up. But I will be back. We have plenty of other bookish stuff to talk about. So I'll see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.